Hello, everyone. Sean Morton again from FireEye. With me today, I have Raj Samani, McAfee Fellow and Chief Scientist at McAfee Enterprise. Raj, I have to admit, it is a little weird having McAfee and FireEye together on a call, but it is truly great to have you today.
I think this is the first time, McAfee Enterprise and FireEye are kind of coming out to the world. So it's actually nice that we've got some really great content to share with everybody.
Absolutely. Today, what I'd like to do is spend a few minutes talking about our 2022 threat predictions. This is something that we just released that is going to examine top cybersecurity threats that we believe enterprises will face in the coming year. And in particular, really around the first prediction, which centers around social. So let's talk a little bit about that. Lazarus wants to add you as a friend. Nation states will weaponize social media to target more enterprise professionals looking to infiltrate organizations for their own criminal gain. So that's a pretty powerful first prediction. And Raj, given that, can you first talk about the potential impacts and implications for an executive or for a company that have their social media channels targeted by threat actors?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one of the predictions that I actually wrote, because we've begun to see some nation state groups using platforms like LinkedIn to target executives. Actually, more specifically, we saw them targeting the defense and aerospace industry. And what's really clever, and it's not really that clever, because quite frankly, we've been connecting with people on LinkedIn for years, but it allows the threat actor the opportunity to directly target executives and really get them on the hook. And actually what we've seen opportunities around kind of job adverts. And so they'll find the executive that they want to target in the company that they want to go after. And what's really fascinating is we've seen them develop these profiles that look like legitimate recruiters. So by being able to really get these executives on the hook, they can get them to download, say, for example, a job spec, and of course install malware that way. And we've seen espionage campaigns carry out that way. And it's not just LinkedIn, by the way. We've seen direct message over Twitter as well, also being used. And quite frankly, it's a really easy way to target somebody directly. And more importantly, you get access to them while you're bypassing corporate controls. And so this is going to be the future, not volume wise, but certainly in terms of very targeted attacks.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And you talked about a little bit about the techniques and tactics. Can you kind of maybe double click on those a bit more? Talk about what are those tactics that threat actors use when they try to weaponize social media?
Well, they're the same tactics that work in the legitimate world. When you receive an invitation from a recruiter, when you receive the opportunity to get a specific job, I mean, that's the hook. If we think about, I think it's Cialdini, the psychologist, talks about these influencing levers that are used. Well, actually, they appear authoritative. So it's a subconscious lever used to kind of really trick us or get us to carry out some sort of action. And, when we saw the attack against the defense and aerospace industry, when you open the job spec, there's a template injection technique that's then used in order to then download like malicious content to your device. And so the same things that work for us today when, we receive messages over DM or when we receive like job invitations, those are the same techniques that work. And, some of these nation state groups are very, very capable in terms of their open source intelligence and also in terms of setting up these operations.
Wow, that's incredibly impactful. And related to that, I've seen some commentary that it's now being framed as one of national security around this weaponization. Can US regulation work here?
Well, I mean, look, the reality is we live in a world where we're governed by rules, we're governed by territories and jurisdictions. For example, we need to get digital evidence. We've got to get mutual legal assistance treaties for certain territories. The bad guys don't have to worry about that. I mean, if they want to set up a fake profile, all they need to do effectively is make that profile look as convincing enough to not appear to be malicious and then therefore get bounced out. And so we've got to use regulations to how we do digital investigations. The bad guys don't. And so the reality is even things like extradition to certain threat actors, If they're in territories where there's no extradition treaty, then they can just carry on doing what they do. So I don't want to sound negative, and there's really great examples if you look at the work that's being done by DHS or the European Cybercrime Center and other agencies across the planet. But the reality is that cybercrime has non-repudiation, so you can deny all knowledge and get away with it.
Wow, yeah, it's impactful for sure. Yeah. So, final question then: given all this, what can we do, or what should be done to prevent this weaponizing of social media?
Well, I don't know if we're going to prevent weaponization of digital content. Cybercrime will continue because, quite frankly, it's got a lower other means of espionage. But fundamentally, I think, part of the reason we do this, and I say the collective we now with FireEye, is we need people to be aware of what the bad guys are doing. We talk about machine learning and AI and all of these great things, but underpinning all of this is an understanding of the threat, an understanding of what's happening. And so our ability to be able to track these malicious actors, integrate that intelligence into our products, but also make this type of content available, will allow CISOs or even CEOs, who quite frankly are going to be targets, to know what to do or to know what to look for in the event that they are targeted. So that, to me, for me, information is power, and that's kind of why we do this.
Well, Raj, I want to thank you for your quick and thoughtful insights here. For all those out there, please be sure to check out our full 2022 threat predictions, where we further unpack a lot of these, and stay tuned for additional discussions around this space. So cheers to everyone.